Okay, so how's it going, everybody? We got a very special guest in here. He actually reached out to me, so I'm actually pretty thankful. Obviously, anybody who knows me knows I don't listen to a ton of country music, but I do want to thank him for reaching out because it really has opened my eyes to a lot more than just staying in my little world. But today we got the very special Charlie Copeland. How's it going, Charlie?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So how's the DFW weather treating you?
Pretty good, man. Got a bunch of shows lined up and playing a bunch of shows. Played one last night and the night before that. So doing
All
pretty all right.
right, that's good. That's good. Well, we're getting to it, like I said, because we don't really know each other very much. So we're both from Texas. So yeah, I'm from Lubbock. So I guess my first question is, uh, what part of Dallas are you from, or Fort Worth, the DFW?
I live in Denton, but
Live in
I'm
Denton,
from a small town near Houston.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
a really small town called Brookshire.
okay. I think I've heard of it. Never knew it was that, but I think I've heard of it.
Really, it's a one horse town, man.
Oh, got you. So uh, I guess my question is because it's very easy for, I guess, a black kid to always think that the white kids always have it easy and their life is always much better, growing up, so I always tell the story that I never knew I was broke until I went to one of my other friends' house and I was like, oh yeah, y'all, there's a difference. So obviously we know that's not true. We know sometimes, growing up white is tougher than growing up black for some people. But how was it for you growing up in that area?
Um, well, I moved around a lot,
Hmm.
moved a lot. So my thinking back on my childhood, it's always breaking up so much into like this place and that place. And I never went to school for an entire year until I got to Brookshire when I was 13. So I never really, you know, you only live in a country or go to a school for a couple of months. You don't really make a lot of friends. There's not really a point in it, especially at such a young age.
Oh yeah.
You know.
So how was that? Was it like did was it rough for you, or because I remember all the new kids who came to my school used to get picked on or beat up a little bit. So
Yeah.
did you go through the same things, or was it actually a little bit easier for you?
I did get picked on a lot,
Really?
but um, it wasn't necessarily tough for me because it was all I knew. You know,
Oh,
so there was nothing to compare it to yet. Once I did eventually go to, I moved to Brookshire and I stayed there. Um, I can look back. I was like, oh man, that was kind of that wasn't always great. That was kind of shitty, but uh, yeah, there was some cool parts to it, man. Moving around like that, and there's some pros and cons. But yeah, new schools all the time gets a little rough.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, were you? Because obviously we're from different worlds. Were you just was it because of the military or just moving around because just jobs? How did that go?
Jobs. My old man, he works in construction, in a golf
Hmm.
course construction. So he works on the bulldozer. It's actually a
Oh,
job, and they travel a lot.
no, got you. Sound like oil field workers. I got you.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Okay, okay. So, what got you into, I guess, country music began to go? Were you always into it, or was it something that kind of just grew on you, or how'd that
Yeah.
work?
Um. Well, I started off with country music when I was pretty young.
Hmm.
It's what my folks were into, and uh, you know, it's really all I ever listened to because back then we didn't have iPhones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm younger than I look. I'm 20,
Oh, got you.
and I grew up in a very low tech household. So like we still had like VHS tapes, and
I, we did too, so don't feel
yeah.
bad.
None of my friends remember getting VHS tapes from Netflix. I'm the only one that can remember that from at least that are my age.
Oh yeah. No,
Um,
I got
yeah. So whatever your parents listened to, that's what you listened to, and you didn't have much of an option.
you. Very true.
Um, so I did get started with really old school country music. Um, And then when I got a little older, I started listening to like classic rock. I was a teenager. Started listening to like folk, bluegrass, kind of all around. And then when I got a little older, I guess I was about 16, 17, I found Americana music, and that's actually what I play now.
Okay. So for the people who don't understand, because I've heard of bluegrass and folk and I guess and even Americana. What's the difference? Because to people who don't listen to country music, they say like it all sounds the same. I like just like people who listen to rap music, they say it all sounds the same. So, well, I guess what would the difference be?
I would say Americana music is just like anything old school, just kind of put together. So
Okay.
like Luke Bryan is, country, I guess, but I wouldn't call him Americana. But you could, take, Hank Williams Sr., you
Mhm.
know, a country singer from like the 50s, and you could put him into Americana. Bob Dylan, Neil Young, you can put all that in there. Tom Petty, I'm wearing a Tom Petty shirt today, actually.
That's awesome.
But, yeah, you can throw all that in there.
Oh, okay. So is
A little
is
bit of everything.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So did you like start when you started singing and everything, or making music and whatnot? Did you start out at a young age? Because I have a friend who plays in a local group here. It's called Tex Westis, and he always played the drums. That's how me and him got so good as friends, because we both played drums. And of course, he was really good. He played it, at dances and quinceañeras and stuff like that. And now he's part of a group. So did it start at a very young age? Did you playing music, or did you kind of pick it up as you got into your teens, and then it just became something more?
It was in my teens. I always wanted to be a musician as long as I can remember, but I was kind of it was not the word. What's the word I'm looking for? It was kind of shunned to be a musician because the whole
No.
standard, the idea that musicians, you know, so few of us actually do make it, actually get to a point where I am, and you can actually make a solid living off of what you're doing. Um, the odds are definitely against you when you're starting off.
No.
Um,
Man,
you
tell me about it.
unless you're, your dad's rich, then maybe, but otherwise, the odds are I was kind of shunned at an early age, and then when I got to be about 14, I started picking it up. My grandfather bought me a guitar and tried to write some songs for a girl, and I joined a few bands. Eventually, started doing my own thing, and I've been working on it like crazy ever since.
uh, 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 just to say, I mean, even though I don't listen to country music, I did listen to the album, and I really did like the putting me through, so or put myself through. I really that was
Yeah,
a good one. I like that
and that's
one.
my favorite too.
That's good.
Thanks.
So, uh, I guess how long would you say you've been in the industry, or been making your music to on like the level where you're at now? I guess I should say.
On the level I am now,
Yeah.
uh, today, I'm
Oh,
always on a new level than I was on yesterday.
hey, I get it. Leveling up. I get it.
Yeah.
That was nice. I like that. Uh, so, a lot of people want to get into the music industry. I mean, I, have plenty of friends who are trying to become rappers, and plenty of friends who are trying to become artists and stuff. What is the one thing that, I guess, what's one learning curve or thing that it took you some time to learn or understand? Because everybody tends to see, even with the whole podcast and me having a YouTube, a lot of people don't see all the work I do behind the scenes. They just see the videos, they see the snippets, and they think it's all easy. And you mean, obviously, I understand your struggle. There's
Mhm.
a lot more that goes into that. So what's the one thing as far as the music industry that people kind of get misunderstood, or you know probably, or I guess what's a learning curve that it took for you that maybe could help some other people?
Yeah. My old ag teacher from high school used to tell me, what you do behind the scenes is what makes you good, or something like that. I don't know. He made it sound better, but It was what you do behind the scenes. Is what he would always tell us. What you do behind the scenes. So yeah, totally. And I think a couple of the most important things are probably the most important is like why you're doing it. You know, why you want to be a musician or an actor or want to do interviews or whatever. You got to find out why you're doing it, and then once you find out why you're doing it, why you're doing that, why you're doing that, why you're doing that, and you get to such a deep to where you can't ask anymore. And I've known people, it takes them years to figure it out. It took me a long time to figure it out. I've known people, even famous musicians that go to therapy just to figure out their, their real why.
Yeah, the
Uh,
purpose.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that why is going to keep you, it's going to keep you pushing. That why is kind of the reason you do it all is going to find who you are as a person, who you are as a creator, and in everything that you do.
No,
I think that's the biggest thing, in my opinion.
I understand. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it. Like I said, that was one thing I learned when I kind of came up with the idea for this. As I said, it was very easy for me to see like, oh, okay, this person does it. That's easy. Then you start realizing like, oh man, I gotta actually work. I gotta reach out to people. I've got to learn how to do edits. I've got to, all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, I get it. But yeah, knowing your purpose is it's very serious. Man, yeah. Some people they only want the money and they don't realize like it takes a long time before the money starts coming. It takes a lot of work before the money starts coming in. So yeah,
Something I realized pretty young was there's so many other in my field. There's so many other musicians. You know, uh, in the Houston area, there's so many better guitar players. There's so many better songwriters. There's so many better singers. And at the time, I was nowhere where I am now. Uh, so, career wise or just art wise, and I realized, there's no way I could be the best. There's no way. Uh, and I would even go to these bars and these, songwriting groups, and there's no way I could be the best. And I was just trying to not be the worst at one point. But I realized if I wanted to be the best, or even just not completely suck, I had to work harder and smarter than everybody else. And I mean everybody else. I did not sleep last night. I pulled an all-nighter last night. I do it all the time because I was working. We had some gigs got rescheduled, so I flipped around the dates and I had to do remake the posters and all that. And I got back from a show last night, probably around midnight or so. But I realized I have to outwork everybody, and it's definitely, well, it sucks sometimes. It's definitely done pretty well for me.
yeah. I get it. Like I said, contrary to popular belief, everybody seems to think if you have a YouTube or like I said, a podcast or something like that you're making millions of dollars, and it's like, no, I'm not. And I get it. Like I said, outside of this, I work 2 jobs, and I'm a busy person. So I get it. Yeah, I definitely understand. There's some days where you're like, man, when am I going to get my opportunity? But yeah, I definitely get that. One thing that I appreciate that you said there is you understand that there's always somebody better. I used to box and do martial arts, and I used to work so hard at it, and then there would be somebody who came in and they just walked through me, and I was like, man, and it taught me like, hey, there's always going to be somebody better, but like you said, you can at least make sure that they don't outwork you, and if you can make sure they don't outwork you, I don't know who said it. I heard my grandpa say it one time, but he said, hard work outworks talent when talent doesn't want to work hard, and so that's what that reminds me of.
I like that.
Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry, before go
ahead. Well, yeah, I would notice that I liked having, maybe not so much at first, but I really liked having people around me that were better. And even if you look at like the musicians that I hire, the backing band, the other guys, they are phenomenal musicians, and they are awesome, and they're all very highly trained. And I have learned so much just from hanging out with them and from practicing with them and that sort of thing. And the just everyone I try to surround myself with has all just been so much better. And I try to learn as much as humanly possible. And a lot of my friend groups, my music friend groups back in Houston, they were all older than me. That's where I got my nickname, the kid.
No.
Most of them were old enough to be like grandparents at least, and or close enough. And uh, I would ask, I would learn from them as much as I could, as much as they had to offer. I would learn from everyone I possibly could, even if they weren't like trying to teach me. I would watch them play and I'd study them and I'd try to get better. And then eventually, everyone, or mostly everyone, was looking at me that way. And I realized that out of this friend group that I used to look up to, now I have more gigs than everybody. I have more connections than everybody. I have the bigger stages and the bigger fan bases. And at that point, I really said, okay, I need to leave. I need to go find somebody else to learn from, because I'm not learning anything from y'all anymore, which is fine, which is good. That means we all did good, but it's time for me to to go to the next grade. It's time to graduate this class and go on to the next one. And so
Yeah.
luckily now I'm here in a big music town, and
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, that's good. And then, yeah, I'm a firm believer in changing your settings, and changing your surroundings, because it forces you to I love I don't know if I ever heard somebody say this or if I just thought it up one time myself. I'm sure somebody said it before me and I just heard it. But one thing I always love, we used to tell people when they were when like younger guys would be like, hey, what should I do? Or should I do this? Or should I do that? And I would always tell people, like, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if you're not, because when you get comfortable, you get complacent, you get, and there's always somebody, as you said, that's going to be better, or that's going to try to be better, or that's going to try to work harder. And I think that's the one thing that I actually kind of forgot about that. And it's starting to make me be more like, okay, hey, I gotta get better. I gotta work. And so, yeah, I'm currently working on, leaving the area that I'm in and going to a bigger area, so yeah, we're working on that right now. But that's very true. I mean, if you get stuck in one spot, it's easy to just get comfortable and not want to move. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and luckily, I mean, I've moved around so much and so often. I've never really been one to get stuck somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a life hack for you. That's cool.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I didn't see it coming, but it worked out.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Like I said, I was in the military, so I moved around. I jumped around a lot. So yeah, I got used to being like, yeah, I don't want to. I've been here for a while, but yeah, I'm already kind of like, yeah, I'm tired of this place. I need to go somewhere else so I can learn, and as you say, get around other people who are, more successful, better than me, so I can learn from them.
Well, also, I mean, it's Lubbock. Not to badmouth Lubbock. I love Lubbock, but
yeah, it's a little.
Yeah, you got Buddy Holly Avenue, which I don't know, man. Is it open yet?
What, Buddy Holly Avenue?
Avenue?
I think so. I think they opened it back up.
Yeah, I played there a few months ago on tour, and most of it was still like closed down or like halfway open.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. There's a lot of stuff that is, it's very traditional. You've been here, so you get it. It's very old school. So yeah. But yeah, not much you can do. So it's a good starting spot, I guess.
Hey, I will be touring again in the spring, and I'll actually be running through Lubbock.
Oh, great. If I'm still around, I'll definitely come check you out.
Yeah.
So I guess I gotta put this. What's one of the biggest things that people misunderstand about you, or just country music in general?
Well, one thing a lot of people when from what I've noticed is when people listen to my music, I guess they think I'm some like depressing kind of guy, or like I don't know. Sometimes they'll think that, or sometimes they'll think I'm like some sort of like tough guy or something like that. I'm not. I'm kind of a goofball actually. I people will actually like travel to come down and watch one of my shows, and that's amazing. And I'll try to talk to as many people as I can. Go stand by the merch table. Love meeting everyone that comes out, and people like, wow, because in my shows I make a lot of jokes, I tell stories, I have fun, I pick people out of the audience, uh, and they're usually like, I did not expect that from you. I expect you to be, slipping away, singing my tunes, and
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of a goofy dude.
Yeah. That's funny. I think that's the one thing that people get mixed up about me. People seem to think that I'm stuck up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, like I'm stuck up or that I'm intimidating. And uh at my job, it's funny because I didn't even know this. A guy actually pulled me aside one time, and he's like, hey, did something happen? And I was like, no, I'm just. So he's like, well, somebody said they asked you a question, you answered it, and they thought they did something wrong. I was like, no, I helped them out and went on my way.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, she said you're kind of intimidating. And I just laughed. So yeah, I get it. I guess the quiet guy always seems like he's the intimidating one. That's the narrative with us, I guess. I mean, I'm not saying you're quiet. I don't know if you're quiet or not, but
I can be, especially when I get into like business mode, which is pretty much all the time, I guess. I'm very, thinking about music. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Especially when you're the boss and you have so many people working for you. There's a lot of weight on your shoulders.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I can be at that. This isn't beer, by the way. This is just iced tea.
I figured so. Yeah.
It kind of looks like beer, so no, it's not. It's not.
I figured so. I was like, I was about to say, I was like, I saw how dark it was, so I was like, I'm pretty sure that's beer. I'm pretty sure that's tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I don't mind. If it was a beer, I wouldn't mind. But yeah, I figured so. It was iced tea.
Yeah.
So, I saw that your I guess your band that plays with you, that you called them or that they're called the other guys. Is that did they give themselves that name, or did you give them that name? Which and the reason I ask is because I just thought that I thought that was pretty funny, because there's actually like a LeBron James skit with on like an old SNL, and they call the rest of the team the other guys.
Yeah. It's like we help them with everything.
Yeah.
Basketball. I don't know the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I gave them that name, but actually we had a long list of names. The only member that like started out and is still with us is Riley Wine, the drummer. He's the OG other guy.
No.
And I think he actually got me connected with a bunch of the others as well. And there's also the extended band, the other guys.
No, gotcha.
Tons of musicians that we've worked with on the producers, all sorts of crazy stuff. But that name is actually pretty interesting, because that was originally going to be the title of the album, Charlie Cope, the other guy. And I just thought, because so many people thought we were just a band, so many people were calling us like the Charlie Cope Band or something like that. And I didn't want to get it confusing with, my one-man shows and that, and, everything saying Charlie Cope and something saying Charlie Cope Band or whatever. I needed to be very, very simple and straightforward for the people that didn't know who I was yet. So I thought the other guys was pretty self-explanatory, that it is a backing group that is brought on with me. like last night I played a one-man show, and this Thursday I have a two-man show with the violinist Joseph Redding is going to be accompanying me. That sort of thing. So I thought the other guys was pretty self-explanatory, made the point across. I thought at least somewhat. It was also kind of funny,
Yeah.
and a lot of bands or a lot of groups or whatever, they try to get like some sort of badass name, and even I'm guilty. My first backing band was called the Rebels from Nowhere. It was Charlie Cope and the Rebels from Nowhere, and then my second one was Charlie Cope and the Texas Runaways, and then so I realized I might be kind of long hair and big beard, but I'm not a burly dude. I'm kind of a goofball, like I said
Yeah.
earlier. And, I was looking at the original lineup, which included Riley Wine. I was like, these are just really nice guys. We should have something that kind of reflects that kind of fun loving lightheartedness. So I thought the other guys making something kind of funny while still child appropriate, because we play some festivals and that sort of thing that are family gatherings.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some that weren't.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can imagine.
One of my favorites was Charlie Cope and the Side Chicks. That was probably my favorite. I was gonna put a feather in my hat and like big coat. Yeah.
Well, now that would have went over with the people.
Yeah, might not have worked too well.
Yeah. That's good.
Someone now is gonna steal that because I never technically used it. So someone now is gonna watch this and steal that. Sure.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised.
It's a terrific name. I gotta say. You see a band, you see a group called the So and So and the Side Chicks, you're not gonna forget that.
Yeah, you might even take a second to like I'm gonna check it out, see what it's about.
Exactly. So, yeah. I was really close to using it.
Yeah, but I guess, yeah. So was one of were they're all women? I'm assuming, right?
No,
they weren't. Oh man, yeah. That would make it even more funny now.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So, was it like, so was that just the name, or was that the guys, or was that what you were gonna call the actual who you named the other guys?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Oh yeah, I guess it paused. I said, was that what you were gonna call like the band that you have now, the Side Chicks, or was that like another band from a while back, or another the other backing guys?
That's what I was gonna call the backing band that I have now.
Oh,
it was a different lineup for the most part, but same thing. And that's what's one of the really cool things about having a backing band, is that you can have a different lineup every single night.
Oh yeah.
So if someone's sick or has a different gig, or maybe tonight you want to have a violinist, and then tomorrow night you want to have a saxophone player, you can do that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. That is. I never thought about that. I never really did. Yeah. So, are you currently married or have kids, or are you just single guy, like, just enjoying it?
Single guy. Like I said before, I'm only 20 years old.
Yeah.
I'm a college student.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah. I'm guessing you go to Tech.
Yeah.
UNT.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And dating is hard when you're a musician, man.
It's hard in general, but it's definitely harder when you're a musician. Yeah, I know.
So like trying to get a date, but at the same time, well, I'm free on a Tuesday in about 3 weeks. You down then? Like, it's kind of difficult, and then also I'm on the road so much. I was on the road 3 months last year, and I can't say too much about my tour dates for next year. It's kind of undisclosed information to public now, but it's a good portion of next year I'm going to be on the road. So, trying to have a relationship, I would really like to, and I'm trying to, but it's it's definitely got some obstacles.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
I think I dated one chick recently,
Yeah.
and I was busy, and she was like, and I finally just had to tell her, I was like, hey, I was like, yeah, this is not gonna work. I was like, I'm too busy right now, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, she's off, somewhere enjoying herself, and I was just like, hey, I was like, I'm trying to get more followers. I'm trying to, get my name out there, get my show out there. I was like, so yeah, I just can't make you a priority right now. So yeah, so I definitely get it, so
Mhm.
it's probably
Yeah.
even worse for you.
Yeah. I play with a lot of guys, and I tour with a lot of people, and um, they're always saying something about like all the girls that come backstage or whatever. And even like last night, there were some girls that were screaming for me. Two girls actually got into a fight from across the venue, which
How?
was which was new. So like one girl was said something like I love you or something like that. It was just normal shit. And someone else said it. And then one of the girls said, no, he's mine. And said, no, he's mine. And then for like the rest of like the set, they were just like talking shit across the venue. And there was all these people there. And I could tell it was these two girls talking shit. And I didn't want to say anything because I wanted to see how far it could go. Like, I was very
Yeah.
curious.
Like,
But
well, how big was the venue?
it wasn't that big. It was just a little one-man show.
That's crazy.
It was probably only like 200, 250 people or something like that. But it was pretty dark, and I had lights in my face, so I couldn't really see too well. But I could hear the voices. It was just the same two people. Uh, I wanted to see. I wanted to know what would happen. I didn't want them to fight. I don't want anybody to hurt themselves. But
Yeah.
so curious. What's gonna happen? But no, a lot of people that I play with, a lot of musician friends, they talk about those girls that come backstage and that sort of thing, and they asked me like, man, like I never see you with a girl, or not at least recently, and there's always girls swooning over you, and there's tons of girls. I'm sure you could just take your pick. Like I really, and that's nice. I mean, it's nice, but I really don't want a bunch of girls. That's not really what I'm concerned with. I much prefer to just have one nice girl that I can meet, maybe
Yeah.
serenade a couple songs too every now and then.
No, I got you. I got you. Especially during today's day and age, it's rough dealing, with
No,
it's hard being a guy. It's hard.
that's
And
hard with anybody.
yeah. So um yes, when it comes to music and or maybe even life in general, what would you say your biggest pet peeve is, or your biggest thing that you're like, this has to be this way, or because obviously you can't control everything, but we control what we can. So do
Yeah.
you have any I guess pet peeves, like when you're on stage or when you're getting ready to do something?
Oh man, I got tons of them. I mean, hecklers, of course, are always annoying. Uh, uh, One time I had a musician, a substitute musician, in the middle of a song on stage. He stopped playing his instrument. He came over, tapped me on the shoulder while I was singing, and said, "Hey, what's the changes again?" It was the weirdest thing ever. It's not like a pet peeve because it's never happened again. But I've always remembered that because that was just like the weirdest thing ever. Just like stop playing your musician, your instrument. Hey Charlie, what's the changes again? Figure it out now. Like your chance is done now. You could have asked
Yeah.
me again. You could have asked me before, but you just gotta play along now. Turn your
Yeah.
instrument down and just play something. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
I don't know, man. There's all kinds of stuff. When you're the boss and your name is on everything, your name is on the logos and the t-shirts and the marquee and everything. Um, Everything does fall on you.
Mhm.
So, of course, there's things you can't control. Um, Weather. If you play an outdoor show, and then it starts to storm, you obviously have no control over that. But unfortunately, it still falls on you. It's still somehow your fault. I've learned my lesson. I brought tarps. I have towels and tarps and the tour van now, so it covers all the instruments if that happens. But I did not control the weather.
Yeah.
You know, I did not do a rain dance this morning. There's all sorts of things. We were trying to shoot the music video for "What About You," and unfortunately had to get delayed because I had a allergic reaction to the COVID vaccine.
Oh yeah,
And,
I've heard a bunch of people having that.
yeah.
My mom did too.
Oh yeah, is she okay?
Yeah, she's good. Yeah, like but she got like but her arm like broke out really bad,
Yeah.
all up and down her arm, but she's good now. Yeah.
Yeah, I had it on my face, and it swelled up and got red, and I looked like a human strawberry.
Mm.
I saw a couple of people online made memes about it when I played a show because I did not cancel my shows. A couple of people made memes about it. It was funny, but a little jacked up. But I wasn't about to shoot my first official music video, looking like a mutant.
Oh
So
yeah.
we had to delay it. Of course, that was out of my control. What was I gonna do? Just suck it back in? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
but it was still my fault. So I don't know. There's a lot,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
So I guess with the music, or now we'll say in life in general, who would you say are the three most influential people to you? Because I mean, I know I have plenty, but yeah, I mean, whether it's in the music business, whether it's in your life, just in your personal life.
Yeah. That's cool. I get this question a lot, but not about the life side. And I always give the life side. People are always like, that's not what I meant. But my music is based off of my life.
Yeah.
All my best songs and all the songs on this record are all true stories. This entire record is a true story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, I wanted to have, a rock song because I love rock music. It's because I wanted to have a rock song because that's how I felt in the moment. That's very vague, but
I understand. I completely understand.
but I would say my top three would be someone special, my ex-girlfriend. I actually think she's one of the reasons I worked this hard. I always admired how hard she would work. She's one of the toughest people you'll ever meet. I always admired her for that. I think that's one of the reasons I worked this hard because I definitely did not work this hard when I was younger. I didn't really do anything when I was younger. And another one would be my grandfather, my papa. I talk to him like once a week, at least. If I'm on the road and trying to stay awake while driving, I'll talk to him a couple times a week. And
that's awesome. He's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great.
He bought me my first guitar, which I still have with me. Her name is Betty Lou. I'll never get rid of that guitar.
Okay.
He and her were actually the first people that told me I could be a musician if I wanted to, that I could actually do it before even I knew that I could do it. And also there's a couple of things, like that stereotypical, how to be a man, be tough and that sort of thing. He never really taught me so much of that sort of thing. He taught me like how to be caring for other people, how to be like compassionate. And I remember a conversation that I had. I was just a kid, and my great grandmother was sick, and so his mom, she was sick, and she was sick for years, as happens when you get older, and some members of my family. I don't want to single anybody out, I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't care. I don't know. Just to be safe. But they said, he is awesome. He just came up here. He drove all the way over here to Louisiana from Houston, Texas, and he's here like every other weekend helping. And it's so nice of him to do that. Did you ask him? Like, no, I didn't ask him. He's just here. He's always just here. And I looked out the window and I saw he wasn't just here. He was also like power washing the driveway or whatever. Uh, and just that kind of clicked for me, just the kind of person that he was. And I realized I didn't want to be like a bunch of other people that I saw in my life that were like, and I don't want to say who they are either, but even some people I grew up with, my family members told me you don't have to do anything for anybody unless you want something else out of them. You know, that sort of thing, that very tough macho kind of asshole vibe, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
But I realized my papa, that was the kind of uh, kind-hearted person, you know, I wanted. And even now, he's still trying to do stuff for me. He's trying to. He sent me like 3 jackets when it got cold, or in February with the whole snowstorm. He sent me like 3 jackets, you know, and a heated blanket too. Even though I told him I don't want one, I won't use it. I don't know how to use it. He sent me one anyway. I never asked him to send a jacket. He just sent a jacket, that sort of thing. You know,
Oh
he's
yeah,
just that kind of guy.
yeah.
And then you said 3. Okay, so that's 2. The third one, I'd probably have to say my agriculture teacher from high school.
Mhm.
I quoted him earlier with the "It's what you do behind the scenes, what you do when no one's looking." Mr. Woods, he I think he was one of the people that also taught me like how to work hard and that sort of thing. I was on a bunch of teams in the FFA and that sort of thing, and I was an officer in the FFA. I was really big into it. And I was in every one of the teams I was on, I was the worst one because I was kind of slow and they were all really smart kids. But
Uh-huh.
I did outwork everybody, and I think he knew that, and he kind of guided me. You know, you can outwork everybody, and you can still be on like one of the top teams. You know, we always went to state, and we were always like one of the, best teams in whatever we did. One of, and it was, it's pretty cool. Sorry, I kind of faltered off there on the end.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I got you. It's no problem. Um, I appreciate that. I always respect people who I always respect. I mean, people in general, but definitely men who can speak on uh, the men of their family. Because a lot of times, it seems like we have people that we look up to, and like in on the success side, and it seems like we forget, where we came from. A lot of us do. One person that I've always said I looked up to, and I quote him a lot, is my aunt's husband. So it's my mom's sister's husband, which he's my uncle through marriage, but he's very, he's very thorough, very tough, very harsh on us when we were growing up. But it taught me a lot, and I've always respected him. I didn't always like him, but I've always respected him.
Yeah.
And I like that. You spoke on a guy who you said, a guy, you spoke on your grandpa saying that he he just showed up and he would just do stuff for people.
Mhm.
And I like that. I've always expected, I've always respected somebody who is solid in who they are, and what people like to say, oh, he's real, like he's who he says he is. I've always respected that, whether I work with a guy and he's the furthest thing from what you would think. He's a black guy and he's into like wizards and Dungeons and Dragons. He's a nerdy dude, but I absolutely like the guy because he is who he is and he does not care. And I'm always like, I respect that. So yeah, I always respect what I always respect somebody who, said who they're who they are through and through, and they don't put on a mask to go out and then take it off when they come home. And I think that's a lot of the problem I think that's a big problem with the world today now, is so many people are afraid to be true to who they really are because, they want to look good on the Instagram, and, I'm a goofball, run around scaring people, jumping out, playing pranks on people. People play pranks on me. You know, we laugh at. So if I think we need more of that. I really do. So yeah, I really do appreciate, you know, that.
Yeah, man, the world becomes a much more interesting place when people become who they really are.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. So as we get ready to kind of start wrapping up, but um, what what would you say your, if you've had any, what would you say your biggest, I guess, failure in the music industry has been? And I asked that simply for the reason that I asked earlier, you know, because there's other people who might want to learn from, you know, your mistakes or what happened.
My biggest failure. Uh,
Even if it's not a failure, like a mistake or something that you had to learn from.
doing
Very
this
serious.
pod. I'm just kidding. Uh, uh, Man, I don't think there was one. Sure, I've had some problems here and there. Uh, and as many people know, if you Google me, you could probably figure out. Yeah, I had a problem with addiction, and I am recovering now, uh, and all that sort of thing. But man, and there's a lot that I would like to take back. But on the other hand, I don't know where I'd be without those. Uh, it is a bit of a scary thing to think of, and maybe I'd be better, maybe I'd be worse. But those mistakes that I made, uh, they put me where I am now. I remember, I know I lost some business associates because of like those things I was talking about, those things that you can't control. Well, and when your name is on everything, still your fault. But one thing that I learned that was very important, because I lost those business associates because of those things that I couldn't control. But I figured out that I could have backup plans on backup plans upon backup plans, and lay everything out for everybody instead of keeping my plans to myself. So I would say there's no failures, because those 3 steps forward, 1 step back kind of deal. And but if I were to give a little bit advice, I would say have backup plans upon backup plans upon backup plans, because you're going to have failures. Here we go. I have problems, but life becomes a lot more easier when you're prepared for those problems to come. And also, it's pretty damn cool when people look around and just like, so Charlie, I mean, I guess you're just going to have to quit. There's nothing you could do. And you're like, nope, I planned for this. Go for plan 3C. And that's kind of cool. And everyone's just like, oh, shit, look at him. Yeah.
Called audible.
Cool
I got
too.
you. So you said, I guess I didn't catch that part when I was reading up on you, but you said that you suffer from addiction.
Yeah.
Do you care to speak on what what you were addicted to?
Yeah. So when I was younger, actually, it's coming up on 4 years. I'll be sober on the 5th, on October 5th. That's very soon.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, as a lot of musicians, you're paid. You're given a lot of free alcohol, a lot of drugs a lot of the time, especially the sketchier places, or even not the sketchier places, but the bigger venues also. They'll give you a lot of free drugs. They'll give you that sort of thing. And when I was younger, when I was about 14 or so, I started hanging out with all these people, and they were adults. I was the only kid, and again, that's how I got my nickname as the kid. And I guess they thought it'd be funny to give a kid drugs, give him a guitar and go play, that sort of thing. And eventually, a lot of those people became my management, my first backing band, the Rebels from Nowhere, and that sort of thing. I can't speak too much on them, but me personally, I was taking a lot of pills. I was drinking every day. I was taking pills every day, and there was all sorts of things that I was doing that terrified me. And I even had a few near-death experiences, and some of those people even saved my life a couple of times, or I assume saved my life a couple of times, because it's all a little hazy and I didn't really have that much information on what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. Uh, and luckily, when I was 16 years old, uh, I made I made the decision to get sober a lot of times, but I got sober the last time when I finally got sober for good. Uh, Things were oddly harder than before, but just like day-to-day life, as after withdrawals, of course, because of course withdrawals are very difficult, but things got a lot harder afterwards, just having to go through life without that without having something to lean on. It becomes kind of like a part of who you are, and I didn't even do it for very long. And especially as a musician, you see a lot of musicians, and a lot of their songs are about getting drunk and getting high. And
Yeah.
you listen to my album. I mean, it is part of my story. It's part of the album, and also getting sober and everything. And but I was doing a lot of pills. I was drinking a lot. I was doing a bunch of other stuff that was incredibly scary. I was always pretty terrified of what I was doing, and where I was going. And I'm glad that I got sober at a very young age, because I've always kind of wondered, because I'm a very addictive person. I mean, you look at how much I'm working. I'm kind of addicted to my work.
Yeah.
Every time I go to my mom's house, she'll put out a bowl of candy or whatever, and it's gone in 5 minutes. And I'm the only one there. She knows I don't even have to like what she puts out. Like, like, Mom, I'm not hungry. Like, I don't need it. Just in case, just in case. I don't even have to like this snack. It's gone in 5 minutes. Because I'm just like an addictive person. I start a
Yeah.
movie with a very hard time turning it off. So I've always been very scared of, what if I didn't get sober when I was 16? What if I didn't get sober on that day? What if I did it a couple months later, or a year later, or 20 years later? Would it have stuck? It's always been a pretty terrifying thought to me.
Mhm. No, I get it. Uh, yeah, that's definitely a scary thing. It, it, it's sad because you know I, I could think of the guys who were doing drugs when we were like young, you know, 13, 14, and they were doing, the hard stuff,
Yeah.
because, all my friends, might have took a shot or took a drink or smoked weed or something, but then there was, and we were always kind of like, okay. But then, we always had a couple of guys who were around us who were just kind of like, oh no, he's into, you know, he's into it like, harsh. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's and I appreciate you sharing that because I'm really big on my ex girlfriend's mom was a former crack addict, and I was around for a little bit of the time that I was around for her last relapse, and so yeah, she was actually supposed to be my first guest, but things went left, so we didn't end up getting to do it. But yeah, I definitely appreciate you sharing that. I guess one thing I do have about the addiction is, you know, we always hear about withdrawals. We do. We hear about the withdrawals and the relapsing and stuff like that. And it's easy for somebody who's been sober to sit here and say, you're just weak. You don't want to do it. And they
Yeah.
don't understand that it's an actual, like, it's a struggle. It is. I
It's a
mean,
disease.
yeah,
Mhm.
it really is. I've even heard some doctors say that addiction is like an allergic reaction. Like your body like has an allergic reaction to it, and that's why it wants it, because now you're allergic to it. Um, so I guess my question would be, when it comes to the 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 relapses and the withdrawals, I guess was it more the withdrawals that you were going through that was making it hard, or was it more just the mindset of just like, I can stop when I want to? Because you hear that a lot. People are like, oh, I'm good, I'll stop when I want to, and they struggle through it.
Um, well, first of all, withdrawals is not like it is in the movies. It's not like that at all. It's not, in the movies, it's just like, I'm hot, now I'm cold, now I'm hot, now that's just a day in Texas.
Yeah, I know.
Oh no, you get violently sick, like very, very sick, like you're gonna die sick. And it's because you kind of think that you might die. It's very scary. And it's good to have people there around you, but no matter what, it's terrifying. It's a scary thought. Just for me to think back on it, because I've been through it a couple of times now. I don't think I really had too much of that I'll quit when I want to idea, because I always kind of wanted to quit. And I can look back on my notes from when I was a kid and I was in it, and all the songs that I would write back then, and a lot of them were about trying to quit or wanting to quit. Not too many of them are like, look at me, I'm a badass, like a lot of other musicians do when they take drugs. It was more struggling with things. And I found that doing those, drinking, doing light or heavy drugs, it's always kind of, it doesn't make your problems go away. It tables your problems. It's like procrastinating. It's the ultimate procrastinating. And when you do that, just like when any other procrastinating, it doesn't take them away. That's what a lot of people think. It just tables them. And then it just builds up and builds up and builds up. And that's something else that just gets scary, because these are huge problems. They might be minor at once, but then they build. And then it's another thing to be scared of. So obviously you have these things that were small problems or even good sized problems are now bigger and bigger and bigger. And you would obviously want to put that away as well. Just watch it get bigger,
Yeah.
So that's not the most artistic way of putting that.
Hey, I understood everything you said. I get it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I understood it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was my biggest problem with I think my last relationship. My ex-girlfriend was going through a lot of struggles, and she started using drugs behind my back. And I would tell her like, hey, you need to go to therapy. Go to therapy, because this is not going to fix it. And obviously, we didn't work out. She did what she needed to do, and she's where she's at, and I'm where I'm at. But yeah, I always try to get her to understand that, like, hey, like, this is not going to change. It's still going to be like all the problems, all the struggles, all the pain. It's going to be there when you're done. So let's try to get you some therapy. I was like, I'll pay for the therapy. I'll help you out. But yeah, she wasn't really open to it. So, but yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from. It definitely just said when you come down, they're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I definitely appreciate you sharing that with me. So
no problem. And I've always had a pretty hard time sharing it. And recently I've tried to be a little bit more vocal about it. And just about every interview I do, people ask me about it. So it's fine. But just because recently I was on one interview, it was a podcast about being in recovery. And we were talking about the stigma behind it. And I realized that one of the problems was there's a stigma because, that there should be some sort of shame behind it. And because of that, I realized that I was kind of part of the problem by not talking about it, especially with my personal past. It's not like I'm just, I've never touched this stuff and I'm going to talk about it. No, I know something about it. And I almost kind of was adding to the problem. So maybe if someone can see me talking about it or singing about it, if they have a problem, maybe they can reach out and get help. And definitely, luckily, I had people there. I had friends, and just like my song, use somebody. Sometimes when you're going through something like that, a helping hand, it does a lot.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I definitely get it. So I said, I guess you're ready to kind of wrap it up. But one question I always love to ask is, there's actually two questions are,
Okay.
what are 3 podcasts you would recommend to listeners or to followers, and why? That's one question.
This one right here, Windows to the Soul.
Hey, I appreciate
No problem.
it.
Man, I've done a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of interviews. Man, I don't know. Well, I like this one so far. This is a pretty cool one. I know you're new.
No, thank you.
Yeah, but I like it. I like it so far. Trying to think. 'Cause I know that one's ending, so I won't say that one. There's no point in plugging them. They're ending. I did a couple shows with the Country Chat with Dom out of the UK. And like I said before, I'm not a country singer. I'm an Americana singer. He mostly has country singers, but there's country music in there. It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe if you listen to like Hooked on Little Lies, it's not very country, but Waller County, that is.
I got you.
But Country Chat with Dom was cool, and I think after that show, we just kind of stuck around for a long time afterwards. We just kept making jokes, and it was fun. Actually, the one I did last week that I was just talking about, the recovering addict.
Mm-hmm.
I will go ahead and sit out. That one's also new. And just because that's important, because if you are in recovery, or you're not yet in recovery and want to get into recovery, I think that's a good place. Those guys seem to know a lot of what they're talking about, and I wish I had something like that when I was first trying to get sober.
Yeah, I get it.
Very cool.
Yeah,
sorry, I made it all dark and gloomy.
Oh, you're fine. Hey, I'm good. I'm good. Like I said, we're in Texas. It's sunny, so we're good.
Yeah.
Sun's shining. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I don't know if I did or if you have one. But what is one question that I didn't ask that you might have wished that I would have, or what's one question that most people don't ask that you kind of wish that people would go into, if there is any?
I don't know. I do so many interviews. Like recently I've been on a handful of magazines and that sort of thing, and radio interviews, podcast interviews like this. So after a while, I just kind of forget.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but sometimes a podcast or just anybody, they'll like look really deep into me, like really deep into me, and be like, "Is it true that you did this in 2016?" I'm like, probably. I don't. How did you know that? I don't know. And
it sounds like Nardwar.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And one that I get asked so often is who someone special is, and obviously I can't say that. That's like the whole point. Otherwise, I would just say for insert name here.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I kind of wish. I don't even know if these guitars next to me are in tune. I kind of wish we had a chance to play a song. I know we're kind of running low on time here.
Yeah. If they are, should go ahead. I don't mind.
I wasn't really planning on it, and I'm just sitting on my bed in my living room because this wall behind me is somewhat blank. I haven't warmed up or anything. I was just this is actually this is Betty Lou. This is my first guitar that I was talking about earlier. The reason her name is Betty Lou is because she's a breed love, and my dyslexic ass can't read. So for the first like 3 weeks that I had her, I thought it was Betty Lou. So like, oh, it's the guitar's name, I guess.
No, and there's a bar, and it was called it was when I was in the military, and it was called something like the Nut Bush or something like that, and I thought it was called Nutty. I thought it was called Nutty Buddies for a long time. So we used to make fun, and my friend was like, "It's not called Nutty Buddies. It's called Nut Bush," and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, cool." So it happens like that sometimes.
Here, we say we do. I won't go into the full thing.
That's fine.
We're talking about addiction and that sort of thing. Maybe I should do. Here, I got one.
Go ahead.
You got friendly with my demons. I got strung out on believing I had someone to love and trust, just didn't need proof. Yeah, I fell in love with anesthesia, 'cause the only time I see you is when I remember something I tried so hard to forget. And those old town feeling got me believing it's just what I need to get by, getting hooked on with life. You feel like Southeast Texans, oh, you're hot and burning cold. Being the only one to protect this is starting to grow old. And you're an old and painted painting on the backdrop of my mind. And it's all there is to prove anything. Me, I've got nothing left to prove, 'cause I've already lost everything that there is to lose. And I keep telling myself these little lies, as long as it gets me by. I've got one more thing to get hooked on, I'll be alright, I'll be alright. And these old time feelings got me believing it's just what I need to get by, getting hooked on little life.
Nice.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a fun song to play.
It's a good song to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, I guess when did you write that one?
I wrote that one. I remember the night. I wrote it in like a couple stages. So I wrote it in December. I can remember the day. It was December 22nd. I can remember the day because my freshman year of college, they were kicking us out of the dorms that day for Christmas, right? And I remember that day because I was dreading it. My mom had moved out of the house that I lived in prior. So like I didn't really have anywhere. I was trying to figure out where to go, you know? Dorms are weird.
Yeah.
Actually, I stayed in Texas Tech dorms. Those are weirder. Yeah.
I've never stayed in those dorms, but I've took stuff to them, like delivering stuff to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like, yeah.
I,
It's
I
like,
I I have a very nice apartment with a kitchen, laundry room, all that, and I pay like like a fraction of what I paid for a dorm.
yeah.
It's insane. Uh, but um, well, I went back to my hometown and I was gonna go stay with some family, but before that, I actually met up with my with someone special, my ex-girlfriend. Uh, and we met up and we kind of got into a fight, and I realized, obviously we had been doing this, you know, on and off and on and off since we were 13 years old. Uh, and We got into a fight. So that night I slept in my truck in a Walmart parking lot because it was like 2 in the morning and I wasn't gonna ask family if I could can I come over a day early, uh, especially at 2 in the morning. So I sat in the Walmart parking lot and I wrote that. I wrote, or at least like a part of that. Uh, and then I woke up really early because the sun was in my face. And then I went to a park just so I can pull out my guitar and I could finish writing that because I loved it. And I had like a rough version. And it didn't have like all of those lyrics. And like if you listen to it, I'm damn near rapping.
Mhm.
You know? Uh so it's one of the harder songs to sing because of that.
Oh, I got you.
Um, and I was writing 1,200 songs for the album my first semester at college, trying to pick the top 1%. And I ended up picking 14 instead of 12. And that wasn't going to make it, but it eventually did. And I realized, it was basically like the same thing happening over and over again. And that's what the story came from. My addiction and, covering all that, I realized that it wasn't my only addiction. This girl was also the addiction, constantly going back to her. And also telling myself every single time, just telling myself, this is going to be different. It's going to work out this time. We'll make it work somehow. And so it really could just go into like any part of the story. And I arranged it much later on differently and put the bass solo and the violin solos and all that. And put in some new lyrics from other songs as well. And I made it a different section of the story. Instead of closer to the end, I put it more towards the beginning, into the addiction part of the story, realizing that there was a problem and realizing, having that fear that we were talking about earlier. And I realized I had very similar fears with the girl, being young, you kind of see yourself with that person forever. I was kind of scared to be with her and I was scared to be without her at the same time. And so I made sure to put that in that song. There's a lot going on in that tune.
Yeah.
It's become one of the most streamed songs on the record. I know it's only been out for 3 weeks, but Americana, whatever's left, Hooked on the Lies has done pretty well.
It's deep. It's a deep song. I mean, I appreciate what you said. I mean, you said it kept being the same thing over and over. One thing that I love that I've always heard is if you do what you always did, you're gonna get what you always got. So, all right, thanks, Harry. I like how you put that. But yeah, so as we have to get ready to wrap up. Again, I want to thank you for reaching out to me because you really opened my mind to possibilities that I never, because I kind of stayed in my own little, world, thinking like, okay, I'm gonna try to interview these people, and I really do think you. Oh no problem. So I definitely thank you for reaching out. I'd like to have you back eventually, so we can talk more.
Like I said, we're gonna be in Lubbock.
Oh yeah, definitely, that'd be great.
I haven't released those dates to the public, but I can text it to you once we're off here.
Okay, that'll work. Hey, I'll like I said, I'll probably be here. I'll probably be around Lubbock till I just renewed my lease, so I'll probably be here till about next summer. So till probably about next June. So yeah.
Perfect. I'll be there before then.
Yeah, that'll work. So before we get out of here, I should have done this at the first. I apologize, but tell the people where they can find you at.
Yeah. So if you Google my name, Charlie Cope, Cope is in How Do You Cope with all this terrific music.
Yeah.
You can just find everything there. My Google Knowledge panel has all my socials, my website, everything. But if you do go to my socials, make sure it's the real one. There's a couple fake accounts and there's a couple fan accounts out there. So make sure it's the real Charlie Cope on Instagram, the Charlie Cope on Twitter. I think it's just Charlie Cope on Facebook. There's a couple things I've never heard of that I don't run, but are me. They're me and my team are running them. Or just go to my website, charliecopemusic.com. Again, first thing you find when you Google me. And you get all my events, my bio, my contact. I love it when people contact me. I love getting fans contacting me. I love talking with new people. I keep my contact info very public.
Likewise, I always say I love learning from people because it teaches me things that I might have not known. And so I seen you had some show dates. So you said you had to switch a couple around.
I did. But they're still pretty much the same. Mostly.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, I've got a lot of dates now around the DFW area, and coming up soon, we're about to release tour dates for next year.
Okay.
Very excited. And I mean, I'm sure y'all can guess from, we were already talking about some Olympic dates. So those are coming soon, and plenty more for next year. And also make sure to check out Americana and whatever's left, my debut Americana record, out on all streaming services, radios. It's already gotten on a bunch of charts. It's amazing. Make sure to, whatever radio station you listen to, if it's not on there yet, it should be. So feel free to call them up and tell them to put it on. Yeah.
Definitely. Like I said, Put Myself Through was a good one. And the last one you just played also was Hooked on You was good. So thank you. But I want to thank you again for tuning in. Like I said, go check out my man, Charlie Cope. And I said, we'll see you next time, Charlie.
All right. See you.
All right. Thank y'all. Peace. You have a good day.